Yo, 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 yo. Welcome in, man. Good morning to the gambling community. This is Cashed It with Chris, the NBA betting show slash podcast. Today's November 23rd, 2022. And I start to show off the same way, man. As always, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to get into, a little bit of time. So let's just jump right in. Before we do jump right in, though, I do want to just take a quick second to say, if you guys are watching on YouTube, hit the like button for me. Make sure you subscribe to the videos as well. I'm doing this every single day. It's all free info for you guys, hopefully helping you guys to, get some sharper angles, some sharper looks. If you're watching on Twitter, like the show for me, please retweet the show. All that stuff helps with algorithms and, just being able to spread the information to more people, man. I never want to charge anybody for anything. So you share the show, you like the show, that helps support the show. Also, podcast streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, podcasts will be available today. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, the podcasts are available on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you get your podcasts, you stream your podcast from. So check out the podcast as well, man. Download the podcast, leave me a review. All that stuff is greatly appreciated as well. But let's get into what we saw yesterday and some of today. I don't want to talk too much about yesterday, just because we do have a bunch of games today. It feels like every team plays today. I know it's not every single team, but we got a lot of games today. So try our best to get through a few of them. Of course, the NBA Crispy Capping show or Crispy Capping NBA show later. We'll have a lot more official plays, but it's a lot to like today, man. It's a lot to like today. I love the card for today. Didn't get a chance to break down all the games. Keep it 100 with y'all. Didn't break down all the games, but definitely want to talk about a few of these games and then talk about a couple of these games I didn't completely break down, tell you guys what I'm looking at as well. So, like I said, hit the like button for me. Subscribe to the videos if you haven't already, and let's get into it. So, first off, what up, Anthony? Appreciate you being here, my brother. First off, quick review yesterday. We saw the Brooklyn Nets be extremely janky, losing that game in Philly last night, and Ben Simmons returned to Philly. And then the only thing I was official on was the Kings, and they made it a little closer than I wanted, especially after being up double digits in the fourth quarter. We knew Memphis was going to come back with something and not just lay down in that game, but Philly, Sacramento was able to take care of business. Shout out to De'Aaron Fox. I talked about his point prop plus rebound, point plus assist prop that cashed. Dude's an absolute monster, and I said he was a potential superstar yesterday. He has superstar potential, and we saw it. Especially, like I said, it's this theory where role players, superstars or superstar talent type players. I'm not gonna call Fox a superstar yet, but superstar type talent typically shows up on the road, especially when you get a point spread that's indicative of a close game. The bookmakers are telling you it's going to be back and forth, and it could come down to a one possession game. That's typically where you see the big guys step up. The big dogs put their big shoes on, they come out with something. So you don't expect the role players to play as well in that spot. So, and that's what we saw yesterday. So shout out to Sacramento. 1-0 yesterday on official plays for me that I gave out. A couple leans cash, couple leans didn't. So, and that's exactly why they lean. So that's what I got there, man. As far as today, a couple of games I do want to talk about, and then like I said, it's a couple that I haven't completely broke down yet that I want to talk about as well. But let's start up with this. Let's start up with Philly again, man. Philly played last night. Today they will be traveling to Charlotte. Probably traveled to Charlotte last night. Not a long flight from Philly to Charlotte. This one's interesting. So the spread actually opened at 3.5 is what I see it at for Charlotte, and it's gone up to 4, some 4.5s as well. All the lines aren't out for every single book yet. I think that's important to mention as well. Some of you guys playing on some books might not have lines, but this line's already at 4.5 for some places in favor of Charlotte, and the totals opened at 214.5, and I see some money's coming in on the under. So the books are expecting Charlotte to win, and they're expecting it to be a pretty close game, 2-possession game. Charlotte win by 2 possessions. and not a lot of points, clearly 214.5. So Philly, we talked about it coming in second night. It'll be a second game of back-to-back. Big win last night. Big win. They also, this will be their first road game in since 5 straight home games. I always talk about fading the team that's going on the road, specifically in the first quarter, first half. We saw it last night, even with Sacramento. I talked about Sacramento coming out, probably a little just a different environment, like you're traveling cross country from Sacramento to Memphis. And Philly's not doing that tonight, but when you shot on the same rims for a certain amount of time, it can be difficult early in the game before you actually check all the way in. So potential look at Charlotte early, just based on Philly playing 5 straight home games before this one. Also Philly, they've won 4 of their last 5 and covered 5 in a row. So why are the Charlotte Hornets laying points? So Charlotte, they've lost 3 in a row, 9 of their last 10. They come home off a 2-game road trip. They haven't played a game since Sunday. It's a reason I think why they're favored in this game in a spot like this. I like Charlotte minus the 4. They're in desperate need of a win. I know that they still will be without LaMelo, but they're in desperate need of a win, specifically at home too. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that the Charlotte Hornets play with a lot more effort than Brooklyn did last night. I talked about LaMelo being absent. Philly will still be without Embiid, Maxey, and Harden. I think this is a Charlotte spot. It's a reason why they're favorite for sure. The way I see this game is Philly. They used a lot of their energy last night to beat Brooklyn. It was a motivated spot, national TV game. They wanted the revenge, Ben Simmons angle for the crowd, for their team as well, for their franchise. And now I think they come out flat. And Charlotte picks up a much needed home win. It's a big game. It's a big revenge game. I'm sorry, for Charlotte as well. If you go back to last year, Charlotte actually got smacked up last year in this matchup. They lost the last time that these two teams played, 144 to 114. So 30-point loss last time these two teams played back on April 2nd. So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm on for that game. I haven't put Charlotte in yet, but I'm probably going to end up playing that minus the 4. Minus the 4.5. Like I said, Philly used a lot last night. I'm not saying that they don't come out and play hard tonight, but I think Charlotte still wins. And that's an ugly game too, because nobody gonna want to lay points with Charlotte. And I totally understand it, but that's the way I looked at the game and what I got from it. See what y'all say in the comments before we move on. What up, Akbar? My boy Finesse in the building. What up, Finesse? Yeah, Hornets, man. Hornets. Brian said Hornets are nothing. Charlotte favorite, a reason at home. G League, Philly back to back with travel. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at, man. It's a Charlotte spot for me. It's definitely a Charlotte spot, man. Let's keep going though. Let's keep going. So Blazers and the Cavs, another interesting game, man. Blazers, they come into this one, losers of 4 in a row, I think it is. This will be their second game of their road trip. They lost on Monday in Milwaukee. They did cover that spread about 1 point, depending on where you got the line. They are 6-3 on the road and 8-1 ATS on the road, which kind of makes it hard to bet against them. The Blazers have been a lot better on the road than they've been at home. But now you get them against this Cleveland team. Cleveland, they're starting to pick up some steam. They're 7-1 straight up and 6-1-1 ATS at the crib. And they've been covering these big numbers, man. I'm not in the business of betting on teams playing that 4th straight game at home. I'm also not interested in betting against the Cavs right now. I said that this team was due to come up and getting Evan Mobley back. They've looked good at the crib. They've won won their last 3 games, all wins by double digits as well. Like I said, I'm not betting against the Cavs. I'm not betting against team on their 4 straight home games. Typically, even if it's not the Cavs. So I would only be able to, even with the Blazers having the best ATS record this season, I think Cleveland could stifle these boys and get another double-digit win, in my opinion, as long as they take Portland serious. Dame is still out, of course. Kevin Love will be he's listed as questionable, and Karis LeVert rolled his ankle in the game on Sunday and didn't play in the win against Atlanta on Monday, but he's already ruled out in this one. Looking at the total, I know it's a low total in this one, only 217.5. But I still would look towards the under. I think, if Cleveland gets it done, it's gonna be because they stifle Portland, and Portland, Portland still has the potential to play really good defense as well. They didn't it didn't really show up as much in Milwaukee. That game went over when it was projected to go under, but it was also off to a really fast start. So nothing official for me on the total, but I do got a little lean towards the under. Let's keep going. So, what y'all got in the comment section, real quick? LJ, my boy, what's going on? What up, Sean? Appreciate y'all being here, man. Hit that like button for me. Subscribe to the videos if you guys aren't already, and let's keep it going, man. Let's go to this Timberwolves and Pacers game. This is gonna be an interesting one today. I'm excited for this game. It's a lot of games to try to watch. I'll probably end up having to. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I do want to watch, multiple games and all of these different time slotted windows. So Timberwolves and Pacers. Pacers open this one as 1-point dogs. Total at 234. And I want to say the total was. Let me make sure I got that total right. I feel like the total was. I'm sorry. The total was 236. 235 too at some places. So depending on where you got the total at, I like the under though. I'm gonna talk about it. So Timberwolves coming to this one. Winners are four in a row. 1 day's rest. They won 3 road games in a row. Then they went back to the crib on Monday and they beat the shorthanded Miami Heat team. Now they're back on the road again in Indiana tonight. The Pacers, they come into this one red hot as well. They're 6-3 straight up and 6-3 at the crib this year. 6-3 straight up and 6-3 against the spread at the crib this year. They've won 5 in a row and 8 of their last 10. This Pacers team has been balling. I don't know if people have been keeping up with it or not. And the Pacers, they a lot of them being able to string together wins and play so well consistently has something to do with Miles Turner. Looking at Miles Turner, the Pacers, they're 8-3 straight up and 9-2 against the spread with Miles Turner. Also, they're 4-5-2 to the under. This Pacers team, last 5 games, they're rated 5th offensively and 2nd defensively. I know that's surprising, but the Pacers are actually ranked 2nd defensively over the last 5 games. The Pacers, 5-0 ATS when the total is set at 235 or higher this year. So when they get into these games where it's supposed to be a shootout, not only do they score points, but they end up covering these games. 5 of them when the total is set at 235 or higher. They've covered twice against the Nets, the Nuggets, the Hornets, and the Rockets. The Timberwolves, they are 4-3 to the under on the road with the average of about 225 points. Keep that in mind because I talked about the total being 235. To me, this total seems inflated. I know these are 2 teams that can score the ball, but I like the under, man. I like the under a lot. The Pacers, they're 5-4 to the under as well at home. The Pacers are 5-4 to the over at home. But the total typically averages out to about 232 points. Both of these teams coming off 1 day's rest. I do feel like, typically when you get rested team, you get more defense. Both of these teams ranked top 10 in defense over the last 5 games. I really like the under in this spot, man. Timberwolves, they're 6-2 ATS in their last 8 games in Indiana. It seems like a Timberwolves spot for me too. When you go back and look at when I went back and looked at who the Pacers actually beat, I mean, a couple of those wins are impressive. A couple of them not as impressive, man. I like the under. I like the Timberwolves, especially being able to get them as a pick. Not anything that I put in yet. I want to dive a little deeper into this game, but I do think that both of these teams are capable of playing defense. I lean heavily towards the Timberwolves, with their quality of wins for Indiana. This will be a big test game for this Indiana Pacers team. Not that they haven't been tested already. I think the Timberwolves have found something recently, and I think they get up for a game like this, man. Anthony Edwards should have a humongous game, and they should be able to dominate the rebounds as well. The Pacers have been rebounding the ball pretty well also. So 15 minutes 30 seconds in, I done broke down 3 games, gave you guys some looks and some angles. Let me see what y'all on the chat. Holly Wagon. Yeah, you got to be looking at Halliburton. Dude had 14 assists, 18 points the other day. His points plus assists been hitting. His assists straight up been hitting. LJ said the same thing. Halliburton assists. What up, Courtney? Yeah. Let's go. So the other games. Let's talk about these games real quick. I got about 5 minutes left before I hop off here. About 20-minute podcast today. So, Brooklyn, Toronto. I think let me just check real quick. I want to say Toronto. I know Toronto's not 100%. Brooklyn having to travel from Brooklyn to Toronto, second game of a back-to-back after being embarrassed yesterday. I would hope that they were embarrassed by that performance yesterday. It's not going to be easy to win in Toronto. Also, revenge angle for Toronto. Toronto lost. I think it was the second game of the season in Brooklyn, and we know that they take those games serious. I'll be looking for Toronto to cover that spread, even with them being shorthanded. Brooklyn should come back with something. But I think Toronto wins that game. They're gonna play a lot harder than Brooklyn is, in my opinion. If Brooklyn shows up with the same, effort and energy that they brought to Philly yesterday, they also just struggle to rebound the ball offensively, defensively. We've seen it time in and time out. I don't know what they need to do to figure out how to rebound the ball, but Toronto, they do have the bodies down there. Koloko, guys like Thaddeus Young, Siakam's still out, but uh, a lot of they just got a lot of bigs. They got a lot of bigs, a lot of guys that can go down there and rebound the ball. Even guys like OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, those guys can go down there and rebound the ball as well. So I lean Toronto in that one. Miami, Washington. So Washington won all those games at the crib. I think it was 5 or 6 games in a row in DC. Now they go on the road and play against Miami. I know Jimmy Butler's already been ruled out, but the Miami Heat are listed as 1.5 point favorites in this one. I'll probably be looking towards Miami. I don't trust the Wizards as much on the road. Miami's due for a win here soon too. I know this isn't the greatest spot for Miami. First game back home after a nice little road trip that they've been on. But I still think this Washington Wizards team is fool's gold. To me, they're still fool's gold. Miami will probably come out extremely motivated after losing their last 3-4 games in a row. They had a brutal road trip. Not a lot of time. I know it was third game in 4 nights when they played Miami the other day. When they played in Minnesota the other day, and they almost won that game. I think that they beat the Wizards today, but that's just a lean as well. Dallas and Boston. Man. So I see the spread says open at 6. I don't know why it will open at 6. I think that's a tad bit too many points. Total in this one, 218.5. Boston laying 4 points now. I like Boston. I like Boston, man. I know Dallas is, I know what they're capable of, but on the road, they haven't been the same team that they were last year on the road. We've seen this team lose in Washington. We've seen this team lose in Orlando. And in Boston, I feel like it's a get right spot for it. Boston should win this game by two possessions. And my, very short analysis on this game, I think that Boston is the right side in this one. Dallas will come out with something for sure, especially coming off the loss. They probably overlooked the Nuggets in the second game of that, back to back for them. But Boston also looked like Boston laid an egg in Chicago the other day. So I do think coming back home, this total is extremely low. We know Dallas like to, play a tad bit slower. So I'll probably be looking at Boston team total in this one. Dallas is a good defensive team, but Boston is a better offensive team. And if I'm taking offense versus defense, give me the offense. I like Boston in that 1 minus the 4. Haven't played that yet either. Sacramento, and this will probably be the last one I talk about. So that leaves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even 5 more games, even though we'd have been through a rack of them already. 5 more games to talk about later on the Crispy Captain NBA show. Sacramento, Atlanta, man. So this one opened at 6.5 in favor of Atlanta, and it's come down. I see at WinBet, I see it's actually a pick. I'm not sure why, but it's a pick. It's come down to 5.5 at most books as well. Money's coming in on Sacramento. Total in this one all the way up to 239. That's an extremely high total. That's an extremely high total. Yeah, I think Sacramento can keep it going, man. I know that they won last night. Recency bias is going to say, you typically don't want to take the team in on the second night of a back-to-back. Atlanta coming off the win, but this will be their first game at home. They're going to have to defend. They're going to have to defend in this one. We know what Kevin Huerter revenge game. Kevin Huerter played for Atlanta last year. They shipped him to Sacramento. So Kevin Huerter revenge game. He'll be turned for this one. De'Aaron Fox, I think, will still get up as well. The other thing I think to note real quick before I wrap it up, man, is that this Kings team, they're still one of the younger teams in the league, right? When you think about guys like De'Aaron Fox, even Sabonis, even but honestly, let's think about it the opposite way. The only guy on this team that is a super vet is a guy like Harrison Barnes. Everybody else on this team is extremely young. Kevin Huerter, Keegan Murray, Malik Monk. These guys aren't old. Like, I know that they had to play that game all the way through last night. I don't see the Hawks beating them by 3 possessions tonight. I'd only be able to look towards the Kings. I like the Kings, plus especially if you can get it at plus 6.5. And that's where it opened. I see it down to 5.5 now, but I like the Kings in this one, man. And that's what I got for you guys. 22 minutes in the book. Like I said, man, hit the like button for me if you guys can. Subscribe. Check out the podcast as well. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of your podcasts and platforms. Leave your boy a review on the podcast platforms as well, man. Real quick, recap. I talked about it already, kind of going through some of the things I discussed already. Hornets is definitely a Hornet spot. Minus the 4, haven't played it yet. Blazers and the Cavs. Be looking towards the Cavs. Another double-digit win for them. Haven't played that yet, even though the Blazers are 8-1 ATS on the road and coming off a ATS cover against the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Timberwolves and the Pacers. It feels like a Timberwolves spot for me, and it also feels like an under spot. Under 235 is something that I'm probably going to have in my pocket before we start the show. I do think that some money may come in on the under in this one. Kings and the Hawks, like I said, only be able to look towards the Kings. I don't think that this Kings team, even on the second night of a back-to-back, I don't think they're losing by 3 possessions to any team. So, real strong lean towards the Kings there as well. Best of luck to you guys. Everybody, kind of go through. It's going to be a lot of props, a lot of sides, a lot of angles. We didn't even talk about Chicago and Milwaukee. Milwaukee early in that game is another look that I have. Them laying 7. I do think that they come out with something early in that one. Chicago being on the road. But yeah, we'll tap back in, 5:15 Eastern time as always, and have more official plays for the day. So best of luck to you guys. As always, none of this is financial consultation. It's theory, it's logic, it's SDQLs and eye tests. Bet with your head, not over it, man. Best of luck to you guys today, and I'll see you guys later.